Every day, our screens are flooded by politicians, executives, and influencers who treat constant visibility as an absolute requirement for relevance. The underlying assumption is simple: attention equals power. But the most enduring historical figures and cultural icons apply the exact opposite strategy. They weaponize their absence. Greta Garbo would famously disappear for years at a time, leaving the public and the press obsessing over her next move. Modern pop royalty utilizes this exact same framework. Artists like Beyoncé will vanish completely from the attention cycle, starving the media before a meticulously timed release. Michael Jackson studied the mechanics of this dynamic obsessively. When his copy of Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power was auctioned, it was filled with his own handwritten notes, detailing exactly how to command awe by withholding his presence. In an ecosystem that practically demands constant content, stepping into the shadows looks like career suicide. Yet, for these leaders, this deliberate withdrawal guarantees their authority. The human brain habituates rapidly. Give people the exact same input every day, and they get bored. A leader who plays the same note continually is treating the public like overstimulated children. Eventually, the novelty wears off, and the audience looks for a new toy. Restraint naturally builds an aura. Someone who holds back appears larger and highly mysterious, while someone who feels compelled to narrate their every thought projects an immediate sense of anxiety. If a person cannot control their own mouth, observers instinctively assume they cannot control their emotions or their behavior. Oversharing signals a profound lack of discipline. Speaking less ensures you rarely say something foolish, and when you do speak, the words carry actual weight. Constant visibility strips away that mystique, leaving a leader looking entirely predictable and small. Controlling perception requires treating absence as an offensive tool. You withdraw to force a psychological reset. Napoleon Bonaparte observed that if he sat in the theater every single evening, the audience quickly grew accustomed to his presence. The initial awe he commanded simply faded into routine, so he would vanish for a month. When he finally showed up again, the crowd was captivated. Then he might disappear for 6 more months, making it impossible for anyone to take him for granted. This creates a predictable attention cycle. Identify overexposure, initiate a strategic withdrawal, and allow speculation to fill the void. Upon a high-impact return, anticipation has peaked. This proactive maneuver forces the world to think about you on your own terms. People typically reach positions of leadership based on a single dominant trait. It might be naked aggression, sharp rhetoric, or an intense populace empathy. But markets shift and rivals adapt. A leader who clings to the exact same tactic that won them the job will quickly find that the environment has moved on. Their defining strength hardens into a liability. Niccolò Machiavelli suggested that the ideal leader, a sort of political Frankenstein's monster, would be someone entirely capable of changing their nature to fit the times. He compared this adaptability to a river. Power comes from flowing and adapting to the landscape, rather than remaining a rigid stone that simply gets worn down by the current. You cannot rebuild your strategy while you are constantly performing for an audience. Stepping out of the spotlight buys you the necessary silence to shed an outdated identity and evolve. This principle extends far beyond pop stars and military generals. The ability to tactically disappear is just as vital for survival in a standard corporate boardroom. The defining rule of office dynamics is straightforward. The people above you have egos, and with those egos come deep insecurities about their own status and competence. If you execute a flawless project and eagerly soak up all the praise, you unconsciously trigger those anxieties. Your boss will view your sudden popularity as a direct threat to their position. The countermove is to do the hard work, deliver exceptional results, and then fade back. You deliberately let the person above you take a significant share of the credit and bask in the glory of the project's success. By suppressing your own need for immediate applause, you neutralize their paranoia. It is a calculated defensive tactic that prevents resentment from quietly ending your career. Pulling this off requires overriding a massive psychological hurdle. You have to abandon the anxious, inward focus of constantly seeking validation from others. You must transition into a master observer. Instead of broadcasting your feelings, you step back to silently read the social dynamics of the room, track macroeconomic trends, and analyze human psychology. This is exactly why your early career should be treated as an intense, unseen apprenticeship. Rather than trying to be the loudest voice in the room, you spend that time accumulating solid, undeniable skills. Enduring the frustration and absolute tedium of learning in the shadows is the reliable foundation required for lasting dominance. A desperate need to be seen broadcasts fragility, but a leader who knows exactly when to pack up and walk away projects an unshakable, terrifying confidence. Mastery of this dynamic means treating visibility like a dial, meticulously adjusting the balance between a striking presence and total absence. True influence is certainly not about desperately screaming the loudest just to be heard in a very crowded room. It belongs to the person with the discipline to stay silent, the patience to wait, and the absolute control to step into the void on their own terms.